Greetings and salutations, fellow YouTube enthusiasts. Lexicon here, back today with another Overwatch 101. Today we'll be talking about the concept of meta and how it relates to people throwing. I'm sure that if you've ever played Overwatch in any way, shape, or form, you've heard the word meta. What you may not know is exactly what that means. Turns out it's hard to define meta at just one meaning because it can be different things based on the game you're playing. The simplest terms I could find is most effective tactics available. Meta. For Overwatch, it is the perceived advantages of playing certain characters or compositions over others based on top-tier player picks. Now I say perceived because in the hands of an excellent player, any character, given the right situation and map, can dominate. It is true that statistically certain characters outperform others. It ultimately still comes down to a player's skill, game sense, and team play. This is where the perceived meta gets muddled. If a player is lacking in any of these three skills, which is common at lower tiers, then the meta really doesn't apply. You can have 6 of the statistically best characters in the game, but if they're all DPS, then your team compositions are going to suffer and you're most likely going to lose to a more rounded team. I'm not saying that you shouldn't look at the pro tier and see statistically who they play more often, but more importantly, I would say take a look at how they play those characters and try to improve your gameplay based on that. Now, how does the perceived meta affect throwing? Well, this is an issue across all levels of play. If a player picks a character outside of the expected perceived meta choices, then most people automatically assume that they're throwing the match. This is especially true if that person has no perceived time on that particular character. What some people don't realize is that alternate accounts do exist and that somebody could have 300 plus hours on a character, yet it shows none of them on that current account. Widowmaker is a great example. In the correct hands and situations, she can dominate a match, which is quite frequent during the Overwatch League. However, unless you have that level of skill, it takes a lot of effort to get value out of her at lower levels. If your teammates do not see any immediate value or results out of the off-meta pick, it often leads to anger, resentment, and accusations of throwing. This is especially true during competitive matchmaking where toxicity and emotions are highest. Now, the flip side to this is if the player who made the pick should have the skill set to identify when that pick is not working and switch to help the current team composition. If someone stays with a particular character and doesn't switch even when clearly being countered or going so far as to start throwing the match by leaping off cliffs or repeatedly or putting up teleporters on an edge, etc., these are clearly toxic players that are throwing the match and should be reported accordingly. Ultimately, the best way to deal with throwers and toxicity is to find yourself a consistent team that you know and trust to play with. A team to learn to play the game better with, to practice with, and to make sure you practice 3 skills that will improve your gameplay. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you learned something today, and remember, as a part of the community, it is our job to support new players. There is no such thing as a dumb question, and be sure to let me know what you think in the video in the comments below. Thanks for watching.